My presentation is on the 1991 film Thelma and Louise, starring Geena Davis and Susan Sarandon. The film tells the story of two best friends who set off on a road trip, get into trouble with the law, end up on the run, and ultimately driving their car to their death in the final scene. I chose this film because it is a great illustration of the struggles that women face in our society. I also chose to explore the final scene. I struggled deeply with the ending. I couldn't understand why Thelma and Louise felt that death was their only option, that they couldn't go to the police, that why couldn't they get help? It baffled me. In order to understand these women, I needed to get to know them more intimately. I watched the film several times. I also read several articles in various academic journals. Thelma is a housewife married to a very domineering husband. He is the same man that she's been with since she was only 14 years old, so she's essentially grown up with this man. He is extremely domineering and unkind and disrespectful toward Thelma. He treats her very much like a child. She allows this and is very submissive. Louise is independent and unmarried. She has a job as a waitress and lives alone. She probably lacks education as well because she is waitressing and it doesn't appear that there is any hope of advancement. Thelma likely lacks education because of her controlling husband. He's the type who generally wouldn't want her to better herself so that he can remain in control of their relationship. So both of the women are lacking options for change to better their futures. The conflicts that these women face begin almost immediately. They stop into a bar on their road trip to have a couple of drinks and let loose, and Thelma gets to know and starts to dance and drink with a gentleman there. I take that back, he is not a gentleman. He ends up getting her into the parking lot and attacking her and very nearly raping her. Louise comes to her rescue, draws a gun, and shoots this man. They flee from the scene. Instead of going to the law right then and there, they run away. Louise explains that because Thelma was being flirty with this man and that multiple people saw it, that nobody would believe that he had tried to rape her. This is incredibly sad to me. This film was released almost 25 years ago, and unfortunately this is still a fear that many women struggle with even today. They are scared into silence because of what people will think or say. The old sayings, she got what's coming to her, or she was asking for it, ring in my head, and it's just very sad that this is the truth of women in our society. From that point, their crimes snowball. They've now run away from a murder scene. They come up with a solution to withdraw Louise's savings and run away to Mexico. That money is lost by a handsome young hustler played by Brad Pitt when he sleeps with Thelma and steals the money while she's not looking. That money represented their only hope of escape and getting away from this situation that they find themselves in. Once that money is lost, their crimes tend to snowball and just get out of control. Thelma robs a convenience store to get money. They hold up a policeman who tried to pull them over for speeding. They blow up a trucker's tanker because he was rude and just disgusting. And they've had it. They've had it with men treating them badly. And they've decided, I guess, that they have nothing to lose at this point. But they have just gotten themselves deeper and deeper into a hole that they can't get out of. Some of the symbols in this movie that I found the most interesting was the convertible car. It represents the lady's form of escape and getaway, and the fact that it was a convertible just made it all the better. The fact that it was freeing and the wind could blow through their hair and that they were really getting to breathe the fresh air for the first time in a long time. The road was a symbol of them getting away, a pathway to something better. And men in this film. unfortunately were a symbol of evil and oppression and just pain and hurt. Every man they met along the way and every man that they've had experience with has just in some way tried to keep them down or hurt them. This film was a great illustration of the evolution of women in film. In a 1975 article, Laura Mulvey wrote, "Traditionally, the woman displayed has functioned on two levels, as erotic object for the characters within the story and as erotic objects for the spectator within the auditorium." Thelma and Louise were not objectified in this film. They were not there for the pleasure of men whatsoever. They represented strong women who were fighting back. It led to other empowering women films also released in the 90s, such as Set It Off and Bad Girls, both demonstrating instances where women were being wronged or had been wronged and were fed up and decided to take matters into their own hands. The ending scene where the women are being pursued by the police through cars, helicopters, and even the police chief running after them on foot just shows how not only are the police closing in on them, but life is closing in on them. They are running out of options. At that point, they decide that there's no going back, that they would rather keep moving forward than go back to the lives that they had before, that after this small taste of freedom, going back would just not be living at all. Thelma and Louise give each other a kiss, hold hands, and stomp on the gas pedal. They are in control. They are taking control, finally. Roger Ebert, in one of his articles, said that the ending is a victory for Thelma and Louise, an existential shout of defiance. I guess the ending bothered me because, like many girls, I was taught the happily ever after, that the prince marries the princess and they drive off into the sunset to live happily ever after. Well, for Thelma and Louise, taking control and enjoying that freedom and not going back together was their happily ever after.